And we're live. Welcome back to the Loopcast. Today I'm joined by Erica and Josh. Thank you all for taking the time to spend with us today. We got a great show ahead. Always, we are here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11. So thank you to those joining live here on YouTube. You can do that as well. Leave us a like, thumbs up if you want to help us out. Or thank you for listening afterwards on podcast form. But today we have a big headline came down, Hunter Biden charged on all counts. There's a lot more to this story. And depending on what news publication you are reading, they are going to cover or they're not going to cover it. We are going to give you the full picture here at the Loopcast. And we're finally going to take the bait here. We have the flag controversy with Samuel Alito and his wife. There was an undercover reporter that came through, quote unquote, exposed him. We're going to talk about that. And we got plenty more on today's show. But if you want to help us out, you can leave us a review, like this, subscribe, all those good things. But without further ado, Erica, give me a rundown. What was Hunter Biden charged with just as a starting point?
All right. Not only charged, but convicted. So yesterday, the verdict came down. He's been convicted on 3 felony charges for lying about drug addiction in order to purchase guns. So, the Democrats, we think of them as big gun control people, not Hunter. He's really special. This is the first time that a president's child has become a felon in the history of the United States of America. So it's a big summer first. In, conviction, out, justice and truth. All right. The convictions as a whole aggregate carry a weight of about 25 years in prison, which we are not expecting him to serve. Sentencing will be held a little later this summer. It's expected he will appeal. But these were
actually. I mean, I don't think anyone on a first-time offense would probably get 25 years anyway, right?
It's the first time. Yeah, so that would be unlikely. It's kind of like the Trump situation. Oh, wait, it's not. We'll get into that in just a second. So it was not even a close verdict. The evidence was pretty compelling. They had witnesses such as Weed Slut 420 in the docket. I just can't believe I said those words.
It's not good news when you got online cam girls testifying against you. Yeah.
The mainstream media takeaway. I don't know if we can get. Here we go. We have some great headlines from our CNN and New York Times. Headlines such as Hunter Biden's trial shows America's justice system isn't so rigged after all. And then
it seems like they're trying to tell me something.
They're trying
headline.
to tell
I don't know what it is.
Yes, the New York Times headline was even more pointed. Hunter Biden conviction undercuts the Trump narrative and a fundraising pitch. So I mean, they're not even trying. They're like,
Ito brings a good point. Yeah. This was from the Hunter Biden laptop that was said to be fake, but now is said to be real. So there's a lot. There's a lot of things at play here with the Hunter Biden story, and I think
so much going on.
We could have so much fun joking around it. And the New York Times coverage was, I think he said, you can tell the relationship between father and son has been battle tested. He kissed him on his forehead, came through, and it's just
vomit bags. Where are they?
So the crux of it though, and because I think a mistake that many people, I think it's a deliberate tactic. The tactic is to make it as gross and personal and drug related and addiction related as possible to cover other things. And so the other things in question, Erica, I know you have a list here. Basically, he was charged of the lowest possible crime in this situation because the Biden family has been infamous for what is known as influence peddling. So they've made millions of, I think $18 million on shell companies that do business with foreign countries. So for example, Ukraine, is the main one people know about, but there's 5 other foreign countries. China. And so interestingly, this case almost never came to bear because he was given a sweetheart plea deal, which was almost like, okay, this is a little bit too much. Like we can't have him get nothing as his indiscretions are very publicly known. We need to get him on something. And it now kind of works in very cookie cutter into this narrative of no one is above the law, right, guys? Like we got him. No one's above the law. But you need to look in the fine print of what he's charged with. So I know, Erica, you did the research on this. What were some of the other things actually in the fine print that he probably should have been charged with?
Yeah, so this all kind of went back to 2014, 2015, where we started to get these like tax evasion, foreign corruption, just all of this yucky stuff going through the whole Biden family. And like you said, we've got lists of millions of dollars going to different members through over 20 shell companies. And the way the shell companies, there will be, Josh could probably explain this much better than I can, but basically these foreign monies coming through. We even had Joe Biden, President Biden, bragging at one point that he got a Ukrainian prosecutor fired, and that really happened. So there's all this kind of foreign involvement, foreign entanglement going on.
Who was investigating corruption, right?
Yeah, and basically would have gotten away with it had it not been for these two IRS whistleblowers who came out. One of them, Gary Shapley. It's possible that if it weren't for them, even the gun charges would have been dropped. And this was a big story last summer, as these charges were being brought. It came out, it was possible Merrick Garland was lying to Congress, saying that the DOJ wasn't interfering in Hunter cases, all kinds of evidence coming through these. And so to avoid investigation going into these foreign relations and this money coming into the Biden family, leading to the president, which is what these whistleblowers were saying it did, the DOJ was kind of forced last summer to bring some kind of charge. So they're going to bring some low-level charge, seek a sweetheart plea deal that will grant Hunter immunity from any prosecutions for violations of FARA, which is the Foreign Agents Registration Act, a federal law that requires individuals or entities acting as agents of foreign principals to register with the DOJ and disclose their activities, which Hunter and the Biden family in general has not been doing at all. Mm-hmm. So to avoid these investigations, they bring these low-level charges. And in a way, they succeeded in protecting the president. They pushed it out long enough, they delayed it long enough that now we have statute of limitations applying to these 2014, 2015 deals that went in while Joe Biden was vice president, letting the statute of limitations on the most serious charges run out. The ones that involve Hunter Biden's time working at a high-paying no-show job at the Ukrainian Shell oil company, they expire. But we have to have some kind of semblance of justice, so we're going to get him on these gun charges.
That's interesting because wasn't Trump charged with something from 2016, 2017?
Yeah. In fact, they had to override the statute of limitations and
yeah, it's almost like the statute of limitations doesn't apply. It applies on partisan lines, it looks like, because they just combined two misdemeanors, made it into a felony so they could push aside the statute of limitations and then go after someone?
Exactly. So basically what we're getting from the mainstream media is this argument, which again, if arguments mattered and logic mattered to them, maybe I would, attempt this in a public forum. But among friends, here's what's going on. They're like, look, the DOJ is perfectly just and impartial because we can get Trump on these, no pun intended, trumped up charges that have never been tested before. And we're going to elevate to the level of felony just for him. And we also got Hunter on these 3 charges for which he's clearly guilty, and the evidence is overwhelming on legitimate.
But it's not like it's not like it just stopped like in 2014 anyway, though, because Chairman Comer at the Oversight and Accountability Committee in the House, he subpoenaed a bunch of bank records, and he identified over 20 shell companies and how the Bidens and their associates raked in over $24 million between 2015 and 2019 by selling Joe Biden as the brand. The financial records obtained show Hunter Biden's business account, Owasco PC, received payments from Chinese state-linked companies and other foreign nationals and companies. So the subpoena bank records that they got revealed that Hunter Biden's business entity, Owasco PC, made direct monthly payments to his father, Joe Biden,
the big guy.
Mm-hmm. It's the big guy.
So, but see, to the far left, that's not a crime. That's not a big deal. What's really a crime is that he lied about his drug use to who? The federal government. How dare you lie to the federal government? That's like the cardinal sin. Oh, can't do that. I'm not suggesting it's okay for drug users to lie. I'm just saying that you think that's really the worst thing that this guy's done. Like, it's just amazing to me.
Yeah, Erica, didn't you say that the same lawyer that Bob Menendez is using, Hunter Biden's using?
Yeah, that dropped in May that Hunter Biden hired
man.
Gold Bar Bob
Gold Bar
Menendez's
Bob.
lawyer to help him out in this.
Wow.
Yeah, for those unaware, he took
so much
gold
incest
bar,
going on.
literally gold bars from Egypt, and he's the senator in New Jersey. So, but
He's
yeah,
not-
pull up
not
this.
in jail.
And he's still running. He's
He's
still
still
running
running
again.
again.
Why
Gotta love
stop?
New Jersey.
Nothing
Everything
stopped
is
him.
legal in New Jersey.
But if you pull this
for
up, I
Democrats.
mean, even the oversight committee, they're talking about how much money. I mean, I want to be very specific to give you guys numbers. If anyone brings up this narrative that somehow the Department of Justice is impartial and they've really treated them seriously here. So the Biden administration, Joe Biden was vice president. His family and their shell companies have hauled in $18 million from foreign sources, $7.3 million from China, $4 million from Ukraine, 3.5 from Russia, 1 million from Romania, 1 million from Panama. I mean, seriously, 142,000
collusion,
deposit
anyone?
stand for a Porsche, 1 million for other foreign payments. So Joe Biden has met with every foreign national, funneling his family millions of dollars. So he's meeting directly, Joe Biden himself, chairman of the CEFC, Yi Jianming. I mean, Chinese, Burisma, Russia, Kazakhstan. And all of these wire transfers have gone through the family's shell of companies. So we're talking Hunter Biden, James Biden, Sarah Biden, Hallie Biden, Kathleen Biden. I mean, the entire family is involved with this. So when people bring up this phrase like the Biden crime syndicate, the Biden crime family, this is a family affair. And so Hunter Biden was kind of the sacrificial lamb of, well, let's sacrifice someone who's a well-known crack addict, sex addict. I mean, just any type of addict.
gross.
Let's sacrifice him at the altar. We're going to make a little charge on him. And now all of a sudden he's immune from future prosecutions of our family, basically.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what you picked up on, Tom, too, that the charges they went with for their sacrificial lamb are in a way they're very personal. It has to do with drugs, it has to do with addiction, it has to do with womanizing. And it's this very yucky underbelly, right? This lifestyle that he was living that the focus is being put on. And you remember in the past, the way Joe Biden has talked about it, like at the presidential debates in 2020, he speaks very compassionately about his son who has had this addiction and striven to overcome it. And he's trying to live a good life now. And it feeds into this narrative to focus on the personal weaknesses of the son. In a
It's
way,
smart.
it's smart,
very
right?
smart.
Because Christians are naturally like, oh, like I should feel for this guy in a way. But then you think of you look at the way that he has been able to live and the millions of dollars, the privileged life. You think of his daughter who hasn't even been acknowledged by the Biden family, Navy. You think of all of the damage that has been done by this man. And I find it very hard to feel that.
Well, my least favorite addiction of his
Compassion that
is
they're hoping
taking
for.
money and foreign influence from various countries. He's
Yeah.
literally addicted to that. I
Sex,
do
money,
not
power,
understand.
baby. Sex,
My
money,
gosh.
power. It's like
Yeah, it's all very
writ large.
It's all very dramatic. All very, it almost
It
feels
is
like
very
a
dramatic.
stage play or something. But interestingly, Biden did come out the same day he had a gun control speech, and
Ironic, isn't it?
people just keep. It's almost like,
I don't know.
can we accuse now at this point of people cherry picking when just about every public appearance of Joe Biden is just a complete showcase for dementia? It's crazy. I mean, we have the clip here, Ben. If you could play, we have this line from his speech on gun control, same day as the verdict came down.
We need you. We need you to overcome the unrelenting opposition of the gun lobby, gun manufacturers, so many politicians when they oppose common sense gun legislation. I used to be when I was no longer the vice president, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Before that, I taught a constitutional law class, and so I taught the Second Amendment.
Not true.
There's never been a time that says you can own anything you want. Never. You couldn't own a cannon during the Civil War.
Actually,
Not
Think
true.
about it. How about you hear this phrase? The blood of liberty. Squash your dough. Give me a break.
What was that? What was he
I
doing?
mean it, seriously.
he's panning Thomas Jefferson's quote.
And by the way, if they want to think is to take on government if we get out of line, which they're talking again about, well, guess what? They need F-15s. They don't need.
Oh
Oh my
gosh.
So
gosh,
dead.
not the F-15s again. He did that before. It was like 2 years ago. He's like, they don't need guns. They're going to need F-15s because I'm going to send mine after them.
But what bothered me most, other than obvious dementia from the leader of the free world, him openly mocking a very serious line of Thomas Jefferson's that the tree of liberty is watered by the blood
the
of,
thing.
right? Like an actual historical part of our country that is true and that real patriots have died for what we have today. Like,
Why
to
wouldn't he
that as
mock
the
it? He
president,
hates that. He hates the founding. I mean, come on. Like,
it makes me angry.
it's not like it's a misstep or out of character.
No.
The modern leftist Democratic Party hates our traditions. I mean, I can't believe they would do that. You should believe it. I mean, they're the ones that have to fake it on Independence Day. Firecrackers and barbecue. Yeah, that's what this is about.
Well, Josh, I think the segue is pretty nice into we're going to call it like the Alito files, the Progressive Playbook, right? So we have a coordinated attempt after packing the court failed to just completely discredit through whatever means justices you do not like. And so the latest...
The timing of it. Why is it happening now and not in October or March? Why is it happening now in June?
Oh, tell us, Josh.
Maybe because the Supreme Court's going to hand down 4 or 5 controversial opinions at the end of this month. So they're trying to set this all up. They're trying to make it so you feel like Sam Alito and John Roberts are just like, knuckle dragging Neanderthals from, the Blue Lagoon or whatever.
What do you know?
It's all set up.
Do you know what controversial opinions are coming down?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of court cases that are up, like, the mifepristone, whether or not that abortion bill was officially approved correctly 20 years ago, when in fact it shows that pretty obvious it wasn't, that Hillary Clinton, first lady at the time, put the screws on the agency to approve it, fast track it. Mm-hmm. So there's certain opinions like that are coming down the pike, and they want to make it, sometimes you can try to persuade people. Like Kavanaugh, John Roberts, they definitely, they're a little bit of this, watching which way the wind blows. And so if you can try to say, oh, you can't do that, would be too far, you can't do that. They're trying to change the opinions of the justices to affect the results. And if it doesn't work, then you just say, see, I told you, these people who are total freaks, they did something wrong. This is all just setting up, for delegitimizing their decisions.
Yeah, and we have another important decision coming too that has to do with the EMTALA, so emergency medical treatment and labor act. I did it. The EMTALA Act and Idaho law, a pro-life law that was protecting patients and unborn children. The Biden administration trying to weaponize that emergency medicine act to force doctors in emergency rooms to perform abortions, to kill unborn children. Not shocking to anyone. Not shocking. And that's a very important case for the future of religious exemptions, but also for the right of states to regulate abortion, to regulate to honor the Dobbs decision. So that's coming. We have the Food and Drug Administration, like you mentioned, Josh, with the mifepristone. And then we've got some big tech regulations, and also I believe there's a Trump J6 decision as well. Whether or not he's disqualified.
That's what's driving all this stuff. So we did a lot of prep on this, so we can go into what's going on with Sam Alito here with these recordings. But we just want to set it up for the audience that they're trying to salt the earth here.
Right. I like that phrase.
That's a great phrase.
Specifically quite like that, but I like it. So
you guys don't know your history on that? I mean,
oh yeah, no, Genghis Khan. That's why. As Azerbaijan
Carthage, but go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, Carthage too. Yep. They both did it. Yeah.
All right. Moving on beyond salting
from ancient history.
So keeping that in mind, there's 3 attacks on Sam Alito, or I'm going to call them like the big 3. So we have the Appeal to Heaven flag, which many of you have seen. Now we are getting attacked because his wife wanted to raise the Sacred Heart flag, according to The Hill, is a protest. It's a
symbol,
a flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus as a symbol associated with the Christian right wing, specifically used to protest pride, which I would love to get into that a little bit more. And then 3, a undercover journalist, Lauren Windsor, was posing as a conservative, went undercover and recorded, which we can't really play the recording, the audio's so bad. But basically, she set him up asking whether or not we should return to godliness, and he basically like nodded. And so now this is this big gotcha exclusive for Rolling Stone. So they're making him out to be like he's partisan, he's unfit to be a impartial justice. And getting into all these elements, we've kind of done the appeal to heaven. I think right now the Sacred Heart was a new one. How could we, guys, the Sacred Heart, devotion to the Sacred Heart has been around since Mary Margaret Alacoque. You could argue back to the Last Supper when St. John the Beloved laid his head on Jesus. And so now this devotion is revealed in France, I think like 17th century. And
19,
really a beautiful devotion.
No, they did in the 17th as well. They when the French Revolution was coming down, there's that story of the French people. Anthony Eslin wrote about it. The Verdi used
the War of the
Sacred Heart
Vendée. The Vendée. Yep. Yeah,
I'm
they
sorry, I got them wrong. They
No, you're
used it as a way to try to remind them what they stood for, and so it had a political, even then, tint, but it was still ultimately first religious. And here's the point. I mean, on one hand, you can laugh and say, obviously, it's not political. This thing's been around forever. But on the other hand, they're not like entirely off base, because there are a lot of Christians who love their faith. They care about their faith more than politics. And they are using the symbol of the Sacred Heart and devotion to that and reigniting that devotion as a counter to this lust flag of the rainbow. And so is it, quote, political? I mean, maybe it's cultural. It's, societal. I mean, it's definitely, it's not like, think of it this way. There are other months, that the church has devoted to different things. Like the month of March is devoted to St. Joseph. And if everyone started flying flags to St. Joseph in March, you'd be like, oh, that's amazing. It just kind of bubbled up out of nowhere, like a stronger devotion.
Well, did you know that St. Joseph statues are actually put out in March to protest Pride? Because I'm sure there's probably Pride-related days in March. Hill might write that up.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my point with it is there are families who are ordering the Sacred Heart flag. I ordered one recently.
I'm one of them. Yep.
Right, and they're doing this as a way of saying this should be our religion. Should be our devotion, and so it is a kind of it's being reignited as a response to like the last 3 years of being just drowned in the rainbow lust flag stuff. So it's not out of nothing. So like, to me, it's like, are we kind of using it in a way to try to, quote, protest Pride? Not really to protest it, but to try to remind us of what really matters, and to push back against the rainbow jihad. That's not for nothing.
Yeah, it reminds me of when The Atlantic ran that story 2 years ago now in August.
Oh, for sure.
About the rosary as the weapon, the weaponized rosary, far left,
AR-15 is like
AR-15. Yeah. And in a way they were right, like the rosary, according to Padre Pio, it is our most powerful weapon, but it's a spiritual weapon. It's a spiritual war that's going on with the powers of darkness. And I know, like, the Sacred Heart flag, would I have ordered it if June hadn't gone crazy rainbow sparkles? No, I probably never would have. I'm not a flag lady like Mrs. Alito is, but I ordered it because I want my kids to know that when the rest of the town goes rainbow sparkles, we go Sacred Heart. And actually, we were there first. Like, we had this time consecrated and set aside as Catholics from, like you said, the 17th, 16th century. And that it is our, time is already made holy by the church calendar. Time is already a party. I mean, we're having a Sacred Heart party this month. So
but
it's important to fill it.
Maybe the point I'm trying to drive home, though, is that the Sacred Heart flag, Jesus, devotion to God, has been around since, you could even argue the Israelites, but forever, 2,000 years if you want to say Jesus. But this pride idea that you can make an argument at the earliest came around during the Stonewall riots, which funny that a video Erica brought up in a previous episode, no one even really agrees on what actually happens there. It's almost besides the point. Progressives invented this idea of pride as an organization, and then they set it in June, and now they claim as though that it impinges upon some type of protest from Catholics or people who have always understood this to be the truth, that somehow it's a protest of thing they invented 5 minutes ago and that they're somehow persecuted. To the point where they're trying to pin this to the wife of a Supreme Court justice, claiming that somehow this makes him unfit to be a justice. Like the insinuation of that, or even the fact that he agreed with the word godliness that he didn't even use, but just the fact that he nodded his head somehow suggests to a significant portion of the population that he is unfit to be a Supreme Court justice. We're talking about Samuel Alito, IQ of whatever. I mean, the guy's a genius, basically. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that's the insinuation.
What I love about it, though, is the left, they're so feminist, and yet they say this justice is disqualified because of his wife's opinions.
All right.
What? It's almost like you guys are lying. You know, it's like you have these double standards all the time. So, like, yeah.
And if you recognize the name Lauren Windsor, I looked her up a little bit. She's infamous for working with the Lincoln Project, she sent people with tiki torches to pretend to be white nationalists to a Governor Youngkin rally back in the day, and it blew up in her face. And it was facing that.
Well, who did she, though? What did she do this time with Alito?
She was the one that snuck in and asked the questions.
Oh, and didn't record it.
She pretended to be pro-life. She pretended to be Catholic. She's like, I cherish my faith. I'm trying to set him up basically to say something. He said nothing. Basically, he said, I understand my job as a Supreme Court justice.
He said nothing controversial, right?
No, he said nothing controversial. Yeah. But the way that it's framed is that it is. And this is kind of the point to me. Like, I feel like the LGBTQ movement uses their status as an institution when it's convenient and then lose that status as soon as it's no longer convenient. So, for example, even suggesting that godliness or saying that you're Catholic. Remember with Amy Coney Barrett, the dogma lives loudly within you, as if somehow your faith disqualifies you from being able to be a justice.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely think that.
But if you were to ask a liberal justice, what a woman is, and she can't define it, that's not even disqualifying. So, like, to claim that she's not a part of an ideology and institution that believes that children can be mutilated, people will just say, oh, well, you don't think trans people exist. Oh, well, you don't think gay people exist. Like, no, that might not be the truth. But then, like, it's just as much a religion or an institution as Catholicism at this point. But the other 100%. Side gets to kind of play the games like, yes, we are, no, we're not, when it's convenient. Because, I mean, they're Marxists. And you just brought up, Josh, like the whole point of this is we have controversial opinions coming out. And so we need to discredit people by whatever means necessary, regardless if it's historically accurate, regardless if it's truthful.
Well, regardless if it's even news. I mean, I listened to all of the recordings. She actually went in twice at him. One was a year ago.
I remember
and
that,
then she went again in May, I guess, and Rolling Stone is publishing it like this is news. I listened to everything he said to her. Then I listened to her recording. She also went, same event, Chief Justice Roberts was there, and she went up to him and was like, oh, I'm so pro-life. Oh my gosh. And like he said, he like affirmed her or something. And they're acting like this is news. Nothing that they said is something they haven't said before in public. Like if you watched Alito's commencement speech to Franciscan University this year, he said all these things right out there in the open. I felt like, I always hesitate to compare public figures to Christ, but like Jesus is like, I've said all of this in the temple and you're just bringing it up now. And I didn't hide anything. And they're acting like, oh my gosh, she blew him out of the water. And you listen to it yourselves if you're doubting me, but like it's a big nothing burger, but it's the headlines, it's the clickbait, and it's trusting that the American people are stupid enough to just take the headlines. And sometimes I'm afraid we are.
Nothing Alito said is remotely controversial except for people who are scandalized by the idea that there would actually be anybody of any religious background involved in any kind of government. And he's saying there's things I can't do because of my specific role or whatever. And then this lady asks Roberts, what we can do to put the country on a moral path. And John Roberts, Chief Justice says, well, would you want me in charge of putting the nation on a more moral path? And I think to myself, yeah, no, I don't think I would, Chief Justice. I don't think I trust you.
Right.
Now, Alito, yes.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah, but all of them just affirmed that they understand their role of like, I'm a lawyer. Like we decide
Right.
whether or not something's constitutional or not. That's my job. I understand it. And my ability to do so is not disqualified by what flag my wife waves. Like what?
Well, and their understanding of it is that even if they would want a specific result a certain way, they can't just force it to happen. Like they have to follow the Constitution. They have to follow the law. It's not up for them just to, blow down every barrier, every concept of the rule of law, in the Constitution like a bulldozer and just get the net result that they want. But that's in fact how the three leftists on the court
Yeah.
I was
operate.
just about to bring that
I
up.
was
yeah.
just about to
They
say that.
operate that way. They do not care. They have the end result in their mind, and if they had enough votes, they would use every bulldozer possible to get to it. They are, that's how every decision they do is based on the results, and they work backwards to find a justification for what they do.
Yeah.
And, that's why, honestly, you know what? In terms of norms, we talk about the Supreme Court. You know what should happen? Somebody like Senator Marsha Blackburn, she's the Republican from Tennessee. She's awesome. She's the one that asked that question, probably got the tip from Matt Walsh. She's the one that asked Ketanji Jackson Brown, what is a woman? And she was, the nominee was totally floored, had no answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a biologist.
I'm not a
not a
biologist.
biologist,
Yeah.
yeah.
What an idiot. What we should do, what Senator Blackburn should do is every year, just honestly call for her impeachment and removal. Just do it every year. Call for it and try to get, and people are like, why? I'm like, if she doesn't know what a woman is, she doesn't deserve to serve. Like, but we already voted to confirm her. So what? Let's get rid of her. She's an idiot. And that's just the truth. You should do it. Screw it.
Josh,
Like, why are we operating on these old rules? Like, she does not deserve to serve on the court, period.
Josh, I love this energy. Do you have any other hot takes of like, put the norms aside, things that you actually think should happen outside of that, which you just brought up? Something that you feel comfortable saying on a live show.
That's a good one.
I'm just gonna drink my coffee while he comes up.
Well, in terms of hot takes, there's a lot of conservatives who think, I actually like the electoral college or whatever, but like there's certain assumptions about it that people bring to it that are just flat and wrong. The assumption is that a lot of conservatives and liberals both are united in this, that conservatives, Republican candidates would do far worse if we got rid of the electoral college and went straight to a popular vote nationwide. And actually, that's not necessarily true. It's just a different way you score it. The fact, and people look at it like, well, wait a minute, Joe Biden defeated Trump by 6 million votes. And so if we had a popular vote, then he would have obviously won. It wouldn't have been close. Like, no. That's not how that works. There are millions of people in New York and in California who said, well, I don't need to worry about voting for Trump. And so I don't support him. They let all their liberal friends know because it doesn't matter. And so they just decide not to vote for him. But if their vote actually mattered and decided who might win the election, Trump would get a lot more votes out of California and New York. And a lot of candidates running for Congress and other lower states, lower offices would actually get a lot more votes. And actually, don't tell me he can't win a popular vote, because he could. So it's like, you learn the rules of the game and you try to figure it out. So like in baseball, there's the World Series. It's 7 games. You have to win each game, right? 4 out of the 7 games, okay? But it's not like if you're in the first game and you're up by like 15 to 0, it's like, well, let's kind of put a lot of our guys on the bench to just kind of relax because we got 6 more games to play. But if it was like it didn't matter and you just go 9 innings and you tallied the total number of runs at the end of the series, then you're like, no, actually, let's just keep going. We need to win by 30 if we can, because we might need those runs in other games. But that's not how it works, okay? So, like, I remind people, like in 2016, the Chicago Cubs finally won the World Series for the first time in like 5,000 years, right? But actually, they won more games, but they scored fewer runs.
So, Josh, this might trigger you, but that's kind of how soccer works.
I don't know what that is.
So, because
Football.
score differential can matter in terms of placement or championships. So
Right. So you learn the rules of the game, and you gear and you
It would
affects
change-
every little part of what you do. So like
Right.
if we switched, if this were a popular vote election this time, Biden and Trump would both react differently, and they would emphasize different things. And
Oh,
isn't
man,
it
yeah.
obvious that they would move to the left?
That's
Not
interesting
obvious.
to think how that would change political strategy,
Yeah.
because we all talk about these swing states all the time. And what if all of a sudden California's in play? What if all of a sudden?
Well, what if it's not that? Yeah. What if it's not states? It's
Right,
it's a
exactly.
national
So
election.
yeah, certain parts of California absolutely are in play. So maybe you change how you campaign. Maybe change. Man, that is an interesting case study. Any more you need to get off your chest, Josh? Josh, are you ready to?
I don't know. I got hot takes, but
I was going to say, you might want to premeditate before you let it rip on the.
But my hot take on the flag, though, was honestly like it's not for nothing that the Sacred Heart's flag is being flown in a lot of places, and it is because those people love the Sacred Heart of Jesus and they love the Catholic faith. That's true, but the percentage of the number of those flags that are out there is higher simply because of the rainbow jihad that's out there. So.
True.
It's not for nothing that they're saying, oh, it seems like it's a response to it. Yeah, you're right. Because, there's a big cultural, billion-dollar empire out there, corporations, media, all that stuff that are pushing the rainbow flag, the lust flag, as to say, indulge in your lust, and whatever your flavor is of it, right? That's what they're all united for. All the different colors, all the different varieties of lust. All that matters is that we need to enjoy it and have pride in your lust. And the Sacred Heart of Jesus is a reminder that we're all called to love and serve other people and love and serve the Lord. So,
well, it's a reminder of
not for
God's.
nothing.
It's a reminder of Jesus' burning love for us, like what true love actually is.
Right.
Which is
And
really
I think,
cool.
I think it's important like what Josh is saying, it's really important to have that message that, yeah, the Sacred Heart of Jesus flag is being flown more because the culture has gotten so loud about the alternative, which is anti-Christ, anti the church. And it's okay to fly the Sacred Heart of Jesus flag as that, because you'll get these messages from the Catholic left, like National Catholic Reporter,
Interesting.
where they'll say things like, you shouldn't weaponize the Sacred Heart. You shouldn't weaponize. This shouldn't be your political statement. And it's okay to make political statements. We're political animals. It's okay to bring
and
a
it's less
beautiful
political
image
than
of our
it's
Lord.
societal. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's
Oh
not
my
political in the
gosh.
sense of like,
It's not. I'm not having him run. I'm not having the Sacred Heart run for office here, people.
right,
I mean,
right.
it's a societal
Also,
It's
thing.
societal. It's
Those
getting on the public
progressives
square.
can go pound sand. Okay,
Yeah.
you're trying to constrain me with things that you don't even constrain yourself to. So
Yeah.
oh
Right.
my gosh, don't
They've
even
all
get me
got rainbow flags
started.
on their Twitter like profile pictures. So
Literally,
they're
it's in
they're
your
doing
churches.
something. Yeah. So come on.
Duh,
don't
give
me
me a
that.
break about all that. Yeah.
And speaking of the Sacred Heart, watch the Catholic Vote merch store because we have a sick sticker and t-shirt dropping.
we got stuff
for
coming
you.
out?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not gonna like preview it because it's not quite in final form yet. But watch the MOL, middle of the loop this week. You might just see something really sweet that you gotta have for the
Okay.
rest of the year. So little teaser.
Okay, so
It's
before we got to pop into church corner before we go to Twilight Zone. So Pope Francis at it again. He reportedly used.
I
let's
mean, it's
say,
not wrong.
in the title of the article from Catholic Pope reportedly uses deprecating slang again, referring to homosexuals entering seminaries. Fegagisimo, I think, was what was used, and this was after I think the Vatican put out an apology on behalf of him. And this was, he repeated the slur in a meeting with 200 priests at Rome's Salesian Pontifical University, according to major Italian outlets. So basically, he's referring to this problem that he continues to bring up. There's already too much faggotry in seminaries, too much homosexual activity. It's clearly a beat he's not backing off of. You can say it's his Latin passion. I don't know. This has clearly upset people once again. Some people like, yeah, duh. Other people, yeah, very upset.
He said
Erica,
it
why do you
again.
think this keeps coming out? Josh, why do you think this keeps coming out? I don't know.
Well, this time he applied it not only to seminarians, but he actually said in the Vatican there's too much
Yeah, that's
frottiagine.
absolutely true.
Yeah, and I don't know. When you get old, your filter kind of turns off. Francis is not known for his filter anyway.
True.
Wait a minute. Maybe we don't want presidents or popes past the age of 80.
I don't know. I could have taken Benedict for another 20 years, though.
I know.
Yeah.
I
Loved
just
that
don't know
guy.
if
Loved
he's
that
there.
guy.
Is this
Little
like a John
different when it comes
Fetterman
to-
situation?
Or he really thinks it. It really is. The Vatican is too lavender for him.
I mean, he does prefer, his left-wing Catholic cardinals to be straight,
Yeah.
like Supich or whatever,
Personal
not to be
preference.
the lavender type, like some others that I won't mention, but
Yeah, but it comes at an awkward moment, right? I mean, this is awkward because Father James Martin is about to fly over for a Roman vacay with Whoopi Goldberg and Stephen Colbert, and so the Pope. This is too much. This is so Twilight Zone, but we're gonna say it anyway, right here. Father James Martin will be joining a group of United States comedians at the Vatican with Pope Francis. I saw the list come out of the comedians who had been invited, and I'm reading down the list. I'm like, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, all the late night, Whoopi Goldberg, blah, 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 James Martin, blah, blah. Oh, wait. James Martin, like Father James Martin? The
Yeah.
comedian?
Oh, yeah,
The comedian.
the chaplain to Stephen Colbert's show, right?
Actually, this is exactly like the Conan O'Brien meme where he had the guy on to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. He's like, Jeff Epstein, the same Jeff, the business dealer, Jeff Epstein. And now it's like Father James Martin, the renowned comedian, Father James Martin,
It's
well-known
right.
comedian James Martin. Never heard of him.
How this guy
Yeah.
weasels himself into all this stuff, but I mean,
It's gonna be a
Oh,
tough talk though after the F bomb thrown around by.
yeah, Francis is so Pope Francis is it's just such a swing of the pendulum every time he comes out because he'll come out with a word like faggotry to describe Vatican officials, and then he's like writing the foreword to Father James Martin's book on Lazarus, and
Or allowing his name to be put on the foreword that someone else wrote.
yeah, talk about just making the mess that he's always talking about. It's just the lack of clarity from this pontificate. It continues to be mind blowing. But
also
at
have
least it's
another
confusing
fun-
the left as well. So
Another fun tidbit. So Pope Francis, keep your homilies short or people will fall asleep.
oh my gosh.
He said this speaking in St. Peter's Square on his Wednesday catechesis, June 12th, said, help move the word of God from the book to life. But the homily must be short, an image, a thought, a feeling. The homily should not go beyond 8 minutes because after that you lose attention and people will fall asleep. And then I think someone brought up that on Holy Thursday, his chrism mass his homily was more than 20 minutes long. We're just like, okay, we're going to nitpick the guy. But kind of, do you guys have strong thoughts on homilies and length?
If it's a good homily, I'm there for it. Like, complete your thought, Father. Give me the 3 points. Complete the thought. Have a conclusion. If you go 20 minutes to do that, great. That's awesome. I probably won't be listening to it because I have 500 small children in the pew with me. But take the time. I think like these sort of very specific instructions coming down from the Pope. Maybe it was off the cuff, but like 8 minutes. It's just not helpful to parish priests. On the ground.
Josh, I need to get Josh's short homilies, long homilies, homily hot takes from Josh. I'd love to hear it.
There's a priest in my area who does a 50-minute mass, and he does like 9-minute homilies. And you know what? I love him. He's a nice guy. I drive further to go to a different parish where there's a 25-minute homilies. And his life, I love it because he actually gives you something more nourishing. He tells you more about what's going on with the faith, and he talks about important issues and things that matter into your lives. I'm not saying political, I'm saying just life. And he applies the teachings, to what's going on. So I don't buy this notion like this has been going on. First of all, why does Pope Francis need to tell priests to do short homilies? My goodness, they've gotten that memo for the last 20, 30, 40 years.
That's fair.
Every priest I ever go to, it's like he clocks it at 9 minutes and then tap, he's done. Ding. It's like, hey, dude, Jesus was nice. You should be nice. See you later. And they sit down. Like,
I had one
guys.
priest say, like, as a gift to you all, I'm not going to give a homily. Go birds.
Man.
And then sat down on a
I love that
Sunday.
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it's 112 degrees maybe a real quick one, like, hey, you think this is hot? Imagine what hell's like, and then sit down. I mean, that's kind of cool. But other than that, you really should actually, have a purpose there. Like, and see, the thing that drives you crazy about this is that people are like, well, what matters at the Mass is Jesus and the Eucharist. And it's like, yes, that's true. Absolutely. But is it also the case that how you dress affects your ability to receive and understand Jesus in his in the flesh, in the Eucharist, as well as hearing his word out loud? I mean, if you can go to church in, scrubby clothes, and I suppose you can still get something out of Mass, but how you dress will affect who you are and how you respond at Mass, right? Yeah. So why wouldn't it also be the case that if a priest took the time and energy to give a really good, nourishing, intelligent homily, how would that not also be good? Like this idea, like, and we've put up with it for too long. Catholics say, "Oh, whatever. What matters is Jesus and the Eucharist." Sure, yes, of course, that's true. But
we can't use that line as a weapon.
Feed your sheep.
It's like that line's used as a weapon to just put all the other concerns away.
Shut up, sit down.
Yeah, and I think it's neglecting the fact that the church has given us the Holy Mass, and it has two parts. It has the liturgy of the Eucharist, which is what people who are like, it's all Jesus. But then there's the liturgy of the Word, and we have to have both in order to be fed as Catholics. And the homily is an opportunity for the priest, who is hopefully well educated in the faith in a way that the laity maybe, well, now that the laity can be much more educated than some of the priests, I hate to say that, but the priest has an opportunity to interpret the word that we have just heard, which again, like Protestants read the Bible and they just can interpret it for them. They interpret it for themselves. And look what happened there. We have 35,000 Protestant denominations. Yeah. The homily is an instrument of the marks of the church. It's an instrument of one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. And the priest's opportunity to preach there is so valuable. So like Josh is saying, if Father takes the time to give us solid teaching, here's how we understand the Old Testament, here's how we understand St. Paul, here's how we understand the Gospels, it's going to lead to so much less error. It's going to help the sheep. And even if only 20% of the people are listening, that's 20% of the people listening.
And I know there's people in the comments blowing up about this with having little kids and whatnot. Look, I don't want it to be
touched a nerve.
I don't want it to go 25 minutes either or whatever. I mean, I care more about quality of the content than the length. That's the biggest thing to think of it. Okay.
Erica touched on it. I think your point, Josh, is, you've said this many times and I agree with it every time. It's a quality control issue. Like the fact that we can go to a Catholic church that's supposed to be universal in the same, not the same experience, like a flavor of the experience, and have a church say, I'm skipping the homily, go birds. And then on the other flip side, you have a 25-minute homily. Like, I'm pretty sure in seminaries, I actually knew someone who did this. He was a priest who gave great homilies. He was in charge of training people, training priests on how to give proper homilies, like homiletics. And I just think, again, it's kind of a quality control issue where you get culprits, usually older priests, that either just don't give good homilies, don't give a full homily. It is an opportunity, as we're all saying. So it feels like more of a quality control issue to me. And one thing that I really admire about the canons of I'm blanking on it. St. Joseph's Oratory.
St. John Cantius.
No. Gosh, they're canons. Good. St. Joseph's Oratory in Detroit. They belong to, I cannot believe I'm forgetting the name of this order. But basically, they write beforehand their homilies. So they've already done a premeditated, well written out. It's based on the liturgical calendar. It's a Latin Mass thing as well. So they are all giving a variant of the same homily. So you know that whatever Institute of Christ the King, any institute parish you're going to, you're going to be getting something that's well thought out, profound, and extensive. Whereas you never are going to go and you're like, we'll see. Yeah. Shout out to my
your mom's in the chat. She's like, Tom, come on.
Thank you. She was disappointed in me. I forgot the institute.
Same with
the
Dominican parishes too. In the last 30 years, the province of St. Joseph has done an amazing job with teaching men the art of preaching. And so that you're going to get something solid. I do want to say something, though, to the parents of young children in the chat who are like, no, short homilies. The kids are going crazy. Look, guys, I'm in the same boat as you. I have 7, 5, newborn baby right now. If the homily is going long, though, just remind yourself there is someone in this church who needs to hear this right now. Like, it's not all about the parents with the kids in the pews. My kids are crying. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Get over it. Like, someone else there needs to hear it. I have a bunch of college kids behind me. Maybe they're getting a lot out of it. When I was in college, the 25-minute homily, I was like all there. I was listening to the whole thing on the edge of my seat. So stop complaining.
We have to believe in the mystical body here. I mean, so here's the thing about this. You never know why, or who you're impacting or affecting, okay? So, like, I remember my wife had brought our youngest son up to the hospital, and I had to take the 4 kids into church one Sunday, and they were tiny, 2, 4, 6 and 7 years old or whatever it was. And I don't remember what happened I don't remember the homily that day. I was, I got them all dressed, and they were all, in clean clothes. And we go to mass, and they were in, they're quiet. And other people saw us and looked at us like, it's not like a mom taking his kids. It's a dad taking his kids. Like, they couldn't believe it without the mom. And my friend came up to me afterwards. He was an Anglican convert to the faith. And he says, Josh, you are my hero.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Because you actually persevered and just, brought your kids to church. You could have easily not gone. And I'm like, well, hey, I'm just doing what I can. You are just a witness. You bring your kids and you work hard to keep them, engaged in the mass, keep them quiet, make sure they're not misbehaving. And you're like, I don't even remember any part of the homily. You are doing a service to the Lord and to your fellow parishioners by just being there.
Yeah.
And you can inspire people. And so, you can always go back. A lot of times the priests will have their homilies online now if you really want to read it. Yeah, but just being there, and you do more good than you realize. So.
Oh, and well, this is coming from someone, father of a 2-year-old. I don't think I've heard a homily in the last year and a half. But
I haven't heard a homily in 18 years.
Go, if you get the opportunity and you have a priest that is doing a phenomenal job, go thank them. Like, go up to them and say, thank you for doing this. You're giving great homilies. They're really inspiring. Because I think, like, sometimes all of these things, pressures are going on, and maybe they're like, am I going too long? Am I not doing good enough? I'm not reaching people. If they're doing a good job, go let them know is what I have to say. And then also, we have a few people in the chat. We have some Institute people in the chat. What's up, guys? Awesome. But nice. Yeah, shout out Carlos. He's like, totally off topic, but has Josh seen the video of Nikki Haley literally signing bombs?
No, don't bring up Nikki Haley, Carlos. We're going to lose it.
Josh, you did see that for sure, right?
Oh, my goodness. I did. I mean, I was tempted to launch her.
Which is funny. The funny thing about that was I shared that in Slack. I was the first one to see it, I think. And then someone in the org was like, oh, that's actually a tradition for soldiers or like military personnel to do that. And I'm like, okay,
our warriors ourselves, not
exactly. Why is Nikki Haley, who's making money off of these bombs, signing them to give to another country to then go bomb another country? Like, a little bit of a difference.
That's different than Kilroy. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. But yes, thank you for triggering Josh, Carlos. I welcome all Nikki Haley commentary from the chat because it always makes me laugh when Josh gets going on Nikki Haley. But yeah, thanks for everyone also in the chat. I just really appreciate you guys. We've really grown recently, and I've gotten to talk to many new, interesting people. You guys are the best. Handsome, well-educated, smart. So thank you for joining us today. So we're going to fly into the
Twilight Zone. You're talking about me or the people in the chat? I'm sorry.
I know. I was like, who's that?
It applies to both, Josh. Don't worry.
All right.
So yeah, we slide in now. Erica, you are first up. What is your Twilight Zone?
Okay. Well, we apparently had great news from the jobs report, the May jobs report. Bloomberg tells us that the crisis is over. Jobs are surging. President Biden had a big celebration about the jobs report, claiming, on my watch, 15.6 million more Americans have the dignity and respect that comes with a job. So everything's just hunky-dory on the jobs front. But wait, there's more. Let's actually dig into the number. All right. You dig into the numbers, and it actually looks terrible for American-born workers. The number of U.S.-born workers actually fell in May by 663,000 to that's a terrible number, 130,000. And the number of foreign-born workers rose 414,000. So if you do the math and you actually look into the stats, what we're seeing is a surge in foreign-born workers getting jobs. American-born workers, the number of jobs for them has actually increased by just over 0%, let's say.
That's not a technical math term.
Jaw-dropping. Yeah, just over 0%. That's an Erica math term. We're talking less than 1%. Yeah, so almost no job growth for American-born workers. All of the growth that Joe Biden and his allies are touting has gone to immigrant workers. And am I glad that immigrants are able to make a living wage and support families? In a way, yes, but it is definitely not the great triumph that the Biden administration is touting this as. Oh my gosh, economic growth, job growth. But it's all going to immigrants, mostly in service, healthcare, and government jobs. So there you have it. Take with it what you will. But
did you
always
see the
dig
UK,
into the numbers.
Did you see the UK study on, I think it was like a libertarian organization. They did a study about the supposed like improvement of quality of life for all of this massive immigration. And the numbers just came back. They're like, yeah, it didn't improve anyone's quality of life. And it made us all much poorer. And then I saw like someone did the Trump meme when he found out that RBG had passed away. And it's like, I'm hearing this now for the first time, like with Tiny dancing in the background.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
It's not good. Not good. That's me.
Josh, what do you got going on?
I love this response. Okay, so that we had the European elections, and all these conservative parties and right-wing parties in Europe were making massive gains. And there's this writer, Tom Guerra, used to be with BuzzFeed. Now he's over at Meta, which is Facebook and whatnot. And his quote is just so profoundly, wonderfully stupid. He's like, it's very scary that in basically every Western democracy, immigration politics is powering a massive far-right surge, and nobody on the non-far right seems to have any idea how to deal with it.
The non-far right?
Okay, so massive immigration is causing a right-wing turn in politics, but we don't know anything we can do to stop this turn. And someone's like, $2 idea here. Maybe get rid of illegal immigration. Hello.
Reduce immigration.
Secure the border.
Well, you did see he was also former, I think, Wall Street Journal. I thought it was Washington Post for a second. This is another Twilight Zone taste. I just think many journalists don't live in the same world that everyone else does. But
they don't.
The journalist is making the point because the Washington Post has been tumultuous. They lost leadership change, and they're bleeding money. I think they lost like over $100 million.
I love that. Love to hear that.
Love to hear that. But the person was like, okay, yeah, like having a loss of over, I think it was $111 million a year isn't great, but that's only 0.001% of Jeff Bezos's net worth. So he should still keep it going. And I was like, do you guys understand? Like, Jeff Bezos made $200 billion because he doesn't invest in papers that lose $100 million a year.
Yeah, but see,
right.
Jeff Bezos might be, for him, it's like, I know how I'll never, it's actually smart business sense, I think, maybe.
Okay.
To lose money on the Washington Post. Okay. So he's got $1 billion corporation, multi-billion, trillion-dollar practically, right? Amazon. But how can he make sure that the left doesn't have all these negative articles saying how Amazon's evil? He owns the Washington Post. That's how. It's the same reason why the NBA loses money by having the WNBA. No one's going to accuse them. They subsidize something that's woke, and then the left says, okay, we won't come after you. That's why it's done. It's protection. It's no different than mafia protection money. Come on. Easy. Yeah. Easy money.
Yeah, but Smart that move. wouldn't explain all the layoffs and leadership change.
Yeah, well, he buys the company. It's not like he's not going to make a few changes or whatever.
Well, he's had it for a little while now.
He'd like to lose less money.
I see what you're saying, but you can't take a $77 million loss every year for 10 years.
If you've got like a gajillion dollars like Bezos does, I'm sure you could.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, it's just worth thinking about, though, like all the turmoil going on in that newsroom and the job layoffs. We don't like to celebrate job loss when people lose their job, unless they're with the media. Then, in fact, we actually enjoy that.
Yeah. Fair.
If your job is, if you're stenographers for a regime that lies every day, I don't cry when you lose your job.
No. Try another industry like landscaping or something where you get your hands actually dirty.
Try coding.
Coding.
Learn how to code.
No.
Man, a classic. Okay, so mine is about the FBI. So the FBI was also bragging. They were bragging that crime has plummeted in the first quarter of 2024. So, and you know what? If these numbers are legitimate, worth bragging about. So according to the report, murder decreased by 26.4%, rape decreased by 25%, robbery decreased by 17%, aggravated assault decreased by 12%, reported property crime decreased by 15%. So if those numbers are legitimate, those are nationwide. So that is like a shock. Like how could they have done that? I mean, this is like the greatest decrease in percentage of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, it turns out it's easy
Way
to
to go,
decrease.
Joe Biden.
Well, it's easy to decrease crime numbers when you stop reporting them. So,
Trixie.
Yeah.
so the trick here
Galaxy
is really,
brain.
I mean, we're looking at
There's
this.
no
we're
rapes if we don't talk about it.
yeah, guys, like how'd you decrease by that much? That doesn't make sense. So it turns out deep blue cities are just deciding now not to report their crime statistics to the FBI. So let's see.
I'm sensing a pattern here. We have a really great jobs report because we have all these immigrants that we brought in and gave jobs to. So it looks like our job, and we have a really low crime rate because we just won't report them anymore.
Yeah,
I know, which my favorite thing on election Twitter, all these liberals on Twitter who are like so excited about all these good news like crime and as you say, the jobs reports. And they're like, how are the American people so stupid they don't see this? Biden is so awesome. And I'm just like, bro, you are in for a reckoning.
Yeah.
Well, it also kind of reminds me too, and just to cap off the story. So in 2021, 37% of police departments stopped reporting crime data to the FBI. This includes departments from Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, and other jurisdictions.
Small
like
little
Baltimore.
Villages like that.
Exactly right. Like where all the crimes happen.
That would change it.
And then in Baltimore and Nashville, crimes are being underreported and undercounted. And we can talk about the activist games that are being played here. I just think at a base level, it's kind of sad because we use these numbers to determine policy for how to protect communities. So this isn't like this is a small thing. This could change how we decide to allocate resources and decide what's the best way basically to protect you at the end of the day, to protect me, to protect you. And so just by deciding not to report them or to underreport them to make things seem better than they are when, as Josh said, we all kind of understand what's going on, that's bad. But then the other thing that I saw that made me laugh, Josh, is basically I saw a lot of headlines like that, like people are stupid. They don't understand how the economy's not in people think they're in a recession right now, even though the economy's actually not in a recession. Therefore, people are stupid and don't understand the economy. And what always happens
is a great way to win voters, calling them stupid, by the way.
Exactly. And what always happens is people make the argument, well, the economy actually has very little to do with the president. And so therefore the president doesn't have much control. And yet they're calling people stupid for not understanding the economy and saying that Bidenomics is working. So when you create a name like Bidenomics, you're kind of leading people to believe that the president. So when it's good, the president, he's the one that did it. When it's bad, the president doesn't have much to do with the economy. It's usually the argument.
It's almost like they're lying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, and to bring it full circle, we were talking about Hunter Biden being the sacrificial lamb for his family to protect his dad. Well, like the American people are the sacrificial lamb when it comes to these stories. Like, well, we'll just stop reporting the crimes and we'll stop like funding police. And we'll just stop worrying about things like inflation and jobs for Americans.
I mean, obviously, the greater crime is that they've stopped prosecuting against these crimes and they allowing our cities to become hellholes because they think it's wrong to punish criminals. That's the biggest scarier thing, but that they're just not even reporting this stuff.
Can I get a scare quote? I want scare quotes and a scare graphic of Josh, someone like a reporter breaking news. Josh Mercer calls American cities hellholes. And then that can be the major news cycle for the next 10 days.
Let's do it.
Very good. All right. I like it.
All right. We have our assignments. Thank you, everyone, for joining today in the chat. This was a great show. If you want to help the show, subscribe, like, Join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11. If you guys listen on podcast, come hang out with us. If not, leave us a review on Spotify and an Apple Podcast. You can email me, loopcast@catholicpoet.org. Grab our book. That'll be in the description, as always. And then keep an eye out for some Sacred Heart of Jesus merch coming down the pipe.
It's going to be sweet.
What you can always do is pray for us. We're praying for you. St. Thomas More, Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Fidelis, pray for us. And we will see you guys on Friday. Have a great day. Peace.